Celine looked at James and Maya before she turned her head towards Mim. "What do you think?" she asked him. Contemplating their action, Mim was quiet. All of them remained silent as they waited for Mim to arrive at a decision. At the same time, they didn't want to gamble on the monsters hearing their voices. It was fortunate that the forest seemed to absorb their voices, though this was likely also the case with the monsters and why they didn't hear the creatures until they were practically on top of them. "Let's get closer to try and determine how many of them there are and whether this is something we can handle," Mim finally said to them. "Want me to go ahead?" Celine asked. Mim stared ahead as though able to see the monsters. "Just as long as you're careful about them not catching your scent," he cautioned. Without a word, Celine moved away from them, but also away from the monsters. Seeing Celine moving away from the monsters, he was confused by the elf's behavior. "She's planning on going around to the other side. That way, if she's spotted, she won't lead them towards us," Mim explained. Maya nodded at Mim's explanation. She seemed impressed by Celine making mental notes when it comes to hunting monsters. Seeing Maya's reaction, James could understand why Maya was trying to learn from Celine. Though Celine was a close-range type fighter, when Celine was scouting, the point wasn't to engage with the enemy, and Maya, with her bow, having a better understanding of how to anticipate the enemy, could be more effective at providing support. James could also take on a scouting role, but being the leader of the group, it was more important for him to direct how they react to any given situation. This meant that he couldn't just disappear for an extended period. The role would need to fall on the next best fit, which would be Maya. "We'll start moving closer, but remember to maintain the distance from the monsters," Mim said as he began to move forward slowly. Celine's job is to make sure that there are no other monsters aside from the ones dining on the deer. He added to make sure Maya and James understood his decision. James appreciated how Mim walked them through things, as though teaching them. It meant that Mim saw them as adventurers with the potential to mentor them. Not just them, but also the rest of their group. "I could imagine a lot of adventurers back at the guild being jealous of the opportunity we've received. Not everyone has a chance to learn from higher-tiered adventurers who are patient when explaining things. The experience we're gaining is not even something that could be easily measured in guild points." James thought to himself, understanding how fortunate his group was. Even better was how Mim's group was so encouraging and patient with them. They slowly moved forward, making sure to be cautious of making any loud noises with the leaves and branches on the ground. James carefully stepped over a branch, wincing slightly as his foot crushed some leaves. He made sure to slowly shift his weight so that the crunching of the leaves was mitigated as much as possible. There were only a few spots that were devoid of leaves, with the occasional large grouping of rocks covered in moss. They didn't step on the rocks due to how slippery the moss could be. By trying to use the rocks to avoid the leaves, it was possible that they could slip on the rocks and fall to the ground, which would make a much louder noise compared to stepping on leaves.